we're happy. There she is. We're happy to analyze that with you and run through the numbers and look at it like an investor. Grace, there you are.
Trying. Here we am. Hello, everyone.
Hello. I was just introducing them to the deal deep dive.
Good. Hi, LaDonna. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Sydney. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Grace.
And Sophie. Hi, Sophie. We haven't met. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Glad to have you here. Glad you're all here. A minute late. All right, take it away, Zach.
Yeah, well, so a little introduction. My name is Zach Smith. I'm a loan officer with Seton Funds. We're a private equity fund based in Eugene. We lend our own money. We're a direct lender out of our fund, and we do short-term financing for all types of real estate investments, residential, commercial, small to large. We touch it all. In this group, we tend to do a lot of fix and flip loans, bridge loans for rentals and things like that on the residential side. We are a hard money lender. We lend quickly and flexibly for our borrowers. And the idea is to use our financing quick, fast, use us and then lose us and move on or refinance as quickly as you can with our money. But we can finance distressed real estate stuff that banks, conventional lenders cannot touch. Part of my job working with my clients, whether they are investors or just prospective borrowers, is analyzing deals. They will send me properties, they will send me projects. And part of what I like to do is serve as kind of their advisor from the numbers side of things. And we look at how much they think it might take to rehab a house, how much they might think that thing will sell for, what it could rent for, digging into the data and seeing, what the numbers look like, and then also what financing might look like for a property like that, whether that's through me or some other lender. So that's why I think Grace has chosen me to lead this group and do deep dive on deals and walk through the numbers. So the first thing we always do on the deal deep dive is we open it up to you guys and we say, does anybody have a deal, an opportunity, a project that they are looking at currently that they would like to workshop, to dive into and talk about the numbers? Anybody?
I don't have a deal, but you forgot to mention, at least from a customer's perspective, that you and Seton Funds are awesome.
Oh yeah, thanks, Mike. Shameless plug. Appreciate it.
Something new I noticed about Seton Funds, since we're talking about Seton Funds, I saw a sign on 33rd Avenue saying project is, so you're putting up signs now.
Yeah, I'm
driving a project. That's cool.
Yeah. I always ask permission first, and they always say yes. So that's
yeah, of course.
That one would be cool.
If nobody has a project that they're wanting to hash out, I will show you one of mine that I've been getting lots of reaction from, that went up live last night on the REIA website, which is the one in Grand Ronde, if you guys want to learn more about that.
Yes, please.
Okay.
That sounds great.
Let's see here. Let me find out what I've got on it here. It'll be a minute here, but what I can tell you is pretty much what I put in the ad.
Oh, Grace, I forgot a step. So while you're pulling that up,
okay.
Why don't we have other people introduce themselves?
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
So LaDonna and I chatted for a second, but I think everybody else joined after. So LaDonna, how about you first?
Hi, I am LaDonna, and my daughter, Sydney Hale, is my business partner. She's on here with me, and we are looking for our first fix and flip. And I've we've owned short-term rentals and we've owned rental real estate, and we currently are just relearning. And I'm excited to be here, and Grace has been incredibly helpful. So is Brad Anderson, that's in the group. I don't think he's on today, but he's been incredibly helpful, filled with knowledge. And so we're here to learn and grow and get great and do fun things and work with great people like all of you. So thanks. Hi.
Great.
Hi.
Good to have you.
Thanks.
And Mike, you're up next.
I'm doing an intro.
Yeah,
Okay, I am retired from Paycheck World, and I am a real estate investor. I have 4 doors. I have an Airbnb business for 8 years now, and at the invitation of Airbnb, I am a Airbnb Superhost ambassador. I get sent connections to people who want to turn up an Airbnb property. I work with them as they fill out their page, set their stuff up, and all the way through to their first booking. And as of this morning on my Airbnb work dashboard, I have, I'm just an independent contractor. I'm not an employee, but I have 191 people I'm working with. And this has turned out to be quite a little venture. Just since November, I've collected $7K in rewards for people I've helped. It ranges from 180 up to 720 per property. That, you know, and it's just a one-time hit after the guests check out. But this still to this day surprises the daylights out of me. I love helping people and I love doing this, and it's just every week something's rolling in.
oh, and your cannabis fund?
Oh, well, yeah, and I do private money lending, both in real estate and in the cannabis industry, where they still don't have access to banking, which is a wonderful thing. And I do some pretty serious loans and pretty serious interest rates. I even beat Zach's rates.
Wow.
You do, huh?
I mean, upward. No, I'm
Oh, okay,
way
yeah.
over Zach's rates.
Oh.
It's like, I don't think you
That's
did.
more
Yeah,
like it.
cannabis starts out at 20%.
Oh, yeah. Whew.
It's tough.
All right, Tracy, you're next.
Okay, well, I'm Tracy Ellis and I'm with United Real Estate. I've been a realtor now for about, a year and a half after retiring from Lane Transit District. So yes, I'm retired from the regular paychecks too, Mike. But I would like to see a little more frequency. So I'm hoping to augment my income with some passive income and do some investing. And LaDonna, that's great. I'd love to get my daughter in on it with me. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Tracy, do you know a Will Mueller?
Yep. I had him contact you.
Yep, and that's correct. That's what
Yep.
where it was ringing a bell and stuff. Yeah, I actually did a site visit with him and
Yeah.
walked through some stuff.
Yeah, he's got a pretty neat little house, but it looks like they're going to end up having to sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, but that happens.
All right, next up is Sophie, really quick.
Hi, my name is Sophie. My husband and I are retired. We are looking at possibility to diversify our portfolio, and we're looking at the Eugene area. And we would like to invest in rental properties that have to be renovated or not, or yeah.
Great. Single family, duplex. You got a,
more student housing or things like that.
okay, great. Nice to meet you, Sophie. All right, and then Grace.
Likewise.
Did you say my name?
Yeah, you're up.
Oh, I'm up. I'm Grace Whitcomb, CEO of Oregon Real Estate Investors Association, owner of Grateful Nuts Homes. And in Grateful Nuts Homes, I flip properties, wholesale, and manage my tenants, my rentals. It is not it does not own the rentals. That's another entity that owns the rentals. And I did something a few months ago, which is make a DBA, doing business as underneath Grateful Nuts Homes, and it's called Oregon House Flippers. So you might see it on my car. Oh, it looks like this. Okay.
Nice.
And I have done one wholesale through that name, and I have a website up for that as well. And so let's see what else. That's about it, I think. One of the reasons I did branding was because I wanted to claim that brand and get it going, and because with all the HGTV popularity, people know what house flipping is now. When I started, nobody knew what it was, and I started in 2010. So, in fact, I didn't even know what HGTV was, but it was out then, but I hadn't found it yet. Anyways, let's see, did we do everybody? Yeah, okay, except for, yeah.
Got a quick thought, as maybe part of Deal Deep Dive. You know, I've always noticed, Grace, that you have done a pretty neat structure for your business and business elements using LLCs and everything else, which is just as important as analyzing a deal. If you're going to go out there and do deals, you need to be kind of, you know, have things separated and stuff like that. It might be interesting for you to, at some point on this Zoom, talk about that, how you have the different LLCs, what is structured, which way connected to what and to what.
Yeah, there's actually a plan that I did years ago too, that creates like a flow of how things work. And yeah, I could do that. Thank you. Is Sydney not on anymore? I thought I saw her earlier.
She's there.
Can you hear me?
Oh, did she say hi?
Yeah.
I did.
I went to go get some water and missed it then.
My mom kind of spoke for me, so.
I gotcha. Okay. You did a good job.
I try not to do that. I try to let her do that, but hi, Sid.
Sydney, do you want to do a little intro?
Oh no, it's okay.
Okay.
She covered it. She's the talker. I'm not really the talker.
Okay.
Well, we'll work on it. All right. Well, I'll share my screen here on this property just outside of Grand Ronde, in a Grand Ronde zip code. Let's see. And what I'm going to share is the analytical tool that's available through Oregon REIA, and it's called Rehab Evaluator or something like that. But anyway, so I get the call. First of all, I send out mailers to a particular niche, which is probate. So I send out letters to probate personal representatives of estates and to their attorneys. And the reason I send it to the attorneys as well is just to get my name out there to attorneys pretty much. So, and give me, you know, if they ever call and say, have you ever heard of her or whatever? And then they say, yeah, we got a letter from her, you know. So, but that's the only reason, basically, like just a touch. So I get a call from this woman, and this was not a property that is from the estate. The estate has another property that she was working on for a friend who passed away, but she did want to sell her property that she's a tired landlord of, and that's 8245 Fire Hall Road. So we talked a lot, and she tells me that the house is really bad, and so we've been working on this for a month, I would say, dealing with the tenants. Are we going to evict? Are we not going to evict? What's the tenant up to now? The tenant first said that they were going to move out in 30 days, gave 30-day notice, and she was really excited about that because then we didn't have to evict. And then the tenant turns around and hires Legal Shield to send a letter saying that she wrote the 30-day letter, which I have a copy of. It's not her handwriting, it's his, but that that they are not gonna, they did not give 30-day notice. So anyway, so now we're back to the evictions problem. These comps here are that you see are lots without houses, because the idea with her was that she said it needs to be trashed, it needs to be bulldozed, it needs to get out of there, it's so bad. So I did comps with that in mind. You'll see here I adjusted it up 15% since then, because I have gone now to it, taken pictures, found that it's something that a rehabber can fix, and it's not necessarily needs to be bulldozed. A rehabber can fix it fine. It's sturdy, it's you know, it just needs new roofing, like I say in the ad. It needs a lot of work, but so that's originally my ARV was like 180. Now I just bumped it up 15%. It per the tax mod tax assessment, you guys can look it up, it's Polk County. It's worth a lot more than my asking price. Now I've changed screens. I think I'm going to have to reshare, but let's see. Let me know. Do you still see it? A new screen?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
With the pictures of the property?
Here we go. This is the property. Like the ad that went out last night. Contract for sale, great value. The 185,000 that I'm selling it for is actually the assessed value for this last year's tax year. And let's see if did the YouTube work. Oh, you can't see this, can you? Or can you?
Yep.
Okay. If I pop it up larger, you won't see it.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
So you're selling the contract for 185?
Yeah.
What's your estimated rehab budget?
Well, when I did this, I didn't do an estimated rehab budget, actually.
Oh,
We could do that together, though.
that sounds fun.
Where is it at? Okay, since you're still seeing the screen, and I'm clicking on all these are all ones I've added in here through the years. Okay, so I go to repairs here. Okay, needs a roof. There's a leaky roof on it right now. So we'll just put this in. Maybe you would just repair the roof, but it's leaking around the skylights. And so there's a big tarp over it. And that's why it's so dark on that one side of the video, if you could see that. Let's say you want to put the windows in, some new windows. Let's say that's 8. Exterior door. Definitely, there should be a back door on a manufactured home. So you might install a patio door and definitely paint the place. Let's update. So now we're at 11,000. Garage. So there's a garage. If you've looked through the pictures, and I can go back and look through the pictures, go through the pictures, it needs siding repair. So that on there, and it's really a tool shed or something like that. There's another one that needs a garage door. So there's more than one outbuilding.
Just the garage needs siding repairs? The main house?
Yeah, so it's really so it's really a tool shed, and I can go back to show pictures on that. Let me finish this and I'll show you that. If you haven't looked at it, or you guys can pull it up too from the email that went out last night at 8:08, I think it was. Interior paint, you can need the 4 doors inside, it needs flooring, needs a kitchen. I don't know if it's 1 bath or 2 because they closed so many doors that I couldn't see. Let's just mark all of these. I don't know.
How's the plumbing and electrical?
I think they're fine. It is a septic, you probably need to pump the septic. So we'll add that. Does anybody know how much that costs?
Really depends on where you're at.
Yeah, so it's very rural. And so let's just say it's $1,000.
Yeah.
And it's probably not. Okay, so now I'm going down to the bottom here and you can see my rehab is now $50,000. And this is really going to change the maximum allowable offer. Okay, so go back to details. You see the maximum allowable offer is this, but remember, I don't have ARVs for actual homes on properties there. The way to do that, I would have to open a new tab here, is to go to Zillow. But first, let's show you the pictures, the other pictures, okay? I never can remember this. Where did it go? Oh, okay. You can see the roof there. Oh, stuff has to be removed. These tenants are subletting is what's going on. This is inside the house, which should be a living room, but they've added walls, temporary walls. That's the leak from the skylight that has a big vinyl sign billboard over the top of the house is what's going on there. Another, like they've added a wall here, a rinky-dink door, a cardboard. These are all part of the eviction stuff that we're working on now. Another something here where they've hung up, made a doorway to somewhere, or maybe that was like that before, but it's just areas that we can go through to inspect.
That's where they're hiding the bodies.
It didn't smell. You expected it to smell, but it didn't there. This is the condition of the kitchen. And see the flooring's been, they probably had a flooding kitchen thing happen or something like that. And had to pull up part of the floor. Oh, and this is the nice river that it's on, called Rock Creek. All right, let's see, where's the garage? Did I not put that on here? Oh, I did not put the garage on there. Okay.
How many acres was it?
6.74. I'll show you the plot map. Let me change screens here.
Does it require flood insurance? Do you know if it's in a flood zone?
Yes, it is. Good question.
Aha. You know what zone it is?
No, I don't. It just said FEMA on this. So you're seeing are you guys seeing doesn't look like it's working. Am I sharing a screen?
Yeah.
The map of the plot.
See the plot map.
Okay, good. It's number 100. And you can see it owns a bit of the Rock Creek right there. Now I'll change screens again. And you see also it's at the end of Fire Hall Road, just about. New share. Oh, you can do new share without stopping. I didn't know that. No.
You say it was a 3-bedroom?
I don't know, actually.
Oh,
She was so, I think it probably is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, but she was so upset, the seller was, when we were there and we couldn't see. I mean, it was just all walled off and stuff like that. So it's hard to know. And I guess I should ask her, but you guys, let me see. First of all, I'm going to show you the side of the shed here. Okay.
$82.47 Fire Hall Road. Sold last summer for $421,000.
Now there's an ARV.
And I think that one only shows us a 1 on the FEMA thing, the 1 out of 10. The one that you just pulled, that other address, I think that doesn't show as, I mean, it's low.
Is
Pulled
one
it up
out,
on the flood map.
is 1 better than a 10, or does that work, guys?
Well, we'd want to know what specific zone it is, whether it's zone AE or for some reason I can't get the FEMA map to work.
Oh,
Maybe their site's down or something. Okay, here we go. Was it 82.45
yes.
Fire Hall? One word?
Yes, but it's in the county records as both ways. So, I mean,
Okay. Let's see if this works. So just looking at your numbers, Grace,
yeah,
for assigning that contract for 185,000. And then you had 50,000 in repairs,
right.
or let's round up and say 60.
It adds an automatic 20 or 25% to it.
Okay,
Okay,
well then that's done.
yeah,
So let's say the 50,000. So you've got 235,000 in costs for that buyer, potentially if they're a rehabber. So in your mind, what after repair value should they be aiming for, a minimum?
so are you able to see about the one that you pulled up on Fire Hall, if it's a manufactured home as well?
It.
I'm guessing it's worth around 400.
I think this is stick built.
Yeah,
It looks like a manufactured home though. So if it is stick built, it's a shitty stick built.
most likely it's manufactured out there.
Here's a really nice stick built home. Nearly 2,000 square feet. Sold for $585 last June. I mean, it's just nicely built. I don't know that the inside's super great.
And was that on Fire Hall as well?
Yeah,
Because I did pass one that is an actual stick built, but the rest were not. And it's like a 2-story stick built one that it would be about 2,000 square feet.
yeah. So if you've got 235,000 in costs, I would assume somebody would, in Grand Ronde, want at least 325, 335 when that thing's finished. To make sure that there's enough profit in the deal, especially if they're going to be financing it. It sounds like with that amount of acreage on a river, if it's well done, that they'd be able to get that. Maybe.
Plus it's harvestable timber. I can't say that.
Ooh,
Yeah. It's never been harvested.
Wooded,
That's
huh?
per the seller. You'd have to check
Okay.
on that with the county.
Well, and you have to do a timber cruise to, have them comb through the woods and tell you how much it's worth.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, it would be something like if a buyer would understand that, the ultimate buyer, possibly, These people, she owned it for 30 years or 25 years or something like that. And that was not part of the plan at all. They just loved being by the river there.
So it is in zone A, flood zone. Zone A is not great. So that's going to be expensive.
So that's the worst, huh?
Yeah, so I've seen homes like that, annual premium of 4,000, 5,000 for flood insurance.
You would want to call Jeanette
Yeah,
and have her find out what she can find on it. If you're seriously interested in going after it.
one thing I've noticed with flood insurance is there's a big difference in the different policy writers in terms of costs and the different types of policies. You can get a really simple landlord flood insurance policy, and it can be, $1,200, or you could get, if you're trying to get vacant under construction builder's risk type flood insurance, you're going to be looking at way more. So really, you got to have a good insurance agent that can price that out for you.
Right, and if you were lending, you would require that, wouldn't you?
So interestingly enough, we're not federally regulated, so we don't have to require it, but we typically do, because the whole idea is if you're investing in this property, whether you're looking to flip it or whether you're looking to hold it, somebody's going to need flood insurance eventually. And so you might as well get it, especially if you're going to hold it. And then also, if somebody comes along, a buyer, and you can point them to your existing policy, tell them exactly how much it is, this is how much I paid for it. You can just line it up for them, rather than giving them a bunch of work to do on their end.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's smart that everybody keep it insured. And with, I don't know, our crazy climate these days, who knows what would happen, so. But I actually did not require flood insurance on an apartment complex that we recently did. It's actually in downtown Eugene. There's flood zones down there because of the
Amazon Creek.
But also the that little spot that goes up 17th by Pearl Street, and it's that little canal.
Isn't that Amazon as well?
Is that Amazon?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, we didn't require it on that because most of the collateral was raised up high enough. We didn't care, but these guys are gonna look to hold that long term, so they're gonna have to do it one day. So, or get a LOMA, somebody out there to do an elevation survey, determine how high the structures are and then what all needs to be insured. And they can actually modify the flood map.
I'm gonna share a picture of the tool. Maybe that's the garage.
Oh yeah, the siding looks totally fine. No.
Ha ha.
Awesome.
Just need to replace the bottom 24 inches. Yeah.
Easy access for the critters.
And let me show you another picture. Okay, new share.
I wonder if that thing flooded already. Look at that.
There's another picture for you.
Do you know if this house has ever flooded?
I could ask.
I'm curious, looking at that damage on the siding, like it went up to a very even line all the way across.
That's interesting. I never thought of that. I thought because the seller had said that the last time she was out there that she couldn't even walk to the house because the growth of the grass was so high, the brush. She said we're gonna have to bring a brush cutter out there to go see it. And
Maybe
so
that
we decided just to wear, boots, tall boots and that kind of stuff. But it ended up that the tenants, knowing that we were coming, had mowed it or something. I don't know. But I just assumed that damage was from the growth of the grass being there for several years or something like that. Hadn't thought of that. I do have a picture of the backside of the house I could show you.
We walked through a place, I'm blanking on the name, that town where Wildlife Safari is. What's the name of that town?
I don't know.
Winston. I was gonna say Wilson, but it's
Okay.
Winston. We walked through a place. Oh yeah, there's the side.
So really nearby it doesn't look like there's flood damage that I can tell of on the backside, or nowhere else on the house that's on the same level as that garage. Okay.
Yeah, this property we saw in Winston was in that same flood zone, zone A. Walking through it, the seller, my borrower, everybody was saying, no, this place is never flooded. And we're walking through and I noticed that all through the house, they had about 4 feet of like laminated sheets that they had put along the walls and covered with some custom moldings, and they kind of painted and lacquered it and made it look nice. I'm like, this is weird. And it was like bubbling away from the wall, pulled it back, and it's just rot, like dry rot, black mold behind it all the way around the house. And that thing had been, I'm almost certain, like 4 feet deep of water at one point. That whole house. And they were just clueless. So that looks like a pretty good opportunity for somebody that wants to go to Grand Ronde.
Yeah. My husband and I, when we went and met the seller up there last weekend, discovered it's on a private road. Fire Hall Road is pretty much like a private funded road. It's not part of the city and it's narrow. And so one car really has to scoot over to one side to let another car pass, and it's not paved. It's rocky and muddy and that kind of thing. Lots of, bumps and ditches, dips and stuff like that. And so the whole idea of replacing the manufactured home became like, how would it get there?
Yeah.
And it's windy as well. So then luckily I know that flippers, people that do this will definitely see it as a fix opportunity instead of a scrape. Whereas the seller thought of it was just get rid of it. She had a lot of emotional attachment to it as well. She'd lived there for 20 years.
That's interesting that she had a lot of emotional attachment to it, yet she was so confident it was a tear down.
Because she's so distraught by the tenants and what they've done to it. She knew if I need to pull out the pictures that she sent me from the listing when she's listed it for rent 5 years ago. It's completely unrecognizable. Which I'll have to do that anyways, to send to the attorney. But anyways, what I'm doing, I'm hiring the attorney, acting as the eviction agent or the agent for the owner to evict, and hiring an attorney to do it and that kind of thing. And so it's just something that I do for, this will be the 3rd time I'm doing that for a wholesale deal.
So what does the process of that look like, Grace? Like, what's the time frame for getting them out of there legally? Like,
So the attorney says that we can do a 14-day notice to give them 14 days to fix the place. And then we have to list all these things that they need to do. And if they don't do that, then I think it's a 30-day eviction after that. But I'm not sure if it's a 7-day or 2-week or
Mhm.
30-day. I need to find out on that.
Yeah. So when you wholesale, if someone were to purchase it before they're out of there, then they're taking the responsibility for getting them out of there, right? Or does it not close until they're out?
Well, my agreement with the seller is that we're getting them out of there before I'm buying it or anybody's buying it.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
But it
And
could,
that way I'm paying,
a
or you're
different
not
way.
paying money to Seton Funds, monthly payments or something like that while you're just sitting there waiting.
Sitting.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
yeah, that makes me think of Mike and Gail's situation. They finally got that woman out.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were some members of Oregon REIA that bought a property in Toledo, and there was essentially a squatter,
An
Yeah.
occupant.
an occupant, wasn't paying rent and just didn't believe that the property had been legally sold or something. And we closed on that in September. And I think it was just last month or the month before they finally got her out,
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
5 months. Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They finally hired my attorney that I work with to get,
Good.
yeah.
Would there be an opportunity in a situation like this to have an actual septic inspection done before purchasing? Because since it's on a river and it has a septic, if it was problematic, that's a more expensive replacement if something needed to be
Oh,
replaced.
right. No,
So
oh,
would that be a possibility for?
yeah.
okay.
Anyways, after we do this 14-day notice, we have to do another inspection anyway. Yeah. Which there's no way could repair everything in 14 days and remove those vehicles. All that.
Yeah. Well, I'll say it again. I think that looks like a good opportunity. If somebody was to get, at least create equity value of 325 or more, if those are the true costs, absolutely. Of course, if they pull up that septic inspection and they have to replace the septic tank or something's been bad with the well or something like that, then that could really blow up the budget.
It is city water.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. On a private road.
I know.
Huh. But as far as going up a long gravel private road, I've done a couple of those outside of the Grants Pass area. Different area, but people love it. Buyers love that privacy right now. We just did one. It was like 5 acres, like I said, out kind of near Merlin, and it takes you about 10 minutes to drive up this gravel road full of potholes just to get there. But it is out on 5 acres, beautiful view, forest, and just people loved it. So it sold in a heartbeat. So
Yeah, the private road is not that long there. Probably like 2 minutes, if that. Yeah.
So LaDonna and Sydney, so what particular areas are you guys looking for properties in Eugene Springfield?
We would do something in Grand Ronde, possibly.
Oh,
Yeah, because
so
we
you're
would.
looking all over.
We're looking all over, but I mean, the biggest nervousness for me in that one is the flood zone more than anything else. But we would love to be Springfield, Eugene, Cresswell, Albany, like probably Lynn and Lane County would be where we would prefer staying Lynn and Lane County.
So would you do Lebanon, Sweet Home?
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, I guess Benton too, because that might, what falls Benton, Corvallis side. But yes, we want any of those, Lynn, Benton, Lane. We'd go to Roseburg too. We have enough connection in Roseburg. We do the Roseburg area.
well, if you go to Grand Ronde, you could go to Klamath Falls, or you could go to-
Yeah, I don't know that I mean, Grand Ronde is a stretch, but I'm
Yeah.
intrigued because Grace had brought it up a while back. So it's been kind of percolating to look at it when it popped up, but it may be a little bit too far for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it is somewhat difficult to find opportunities in the Eugene
Yes.
Springfield area.
We realize that we are learning that quickly.
Yeah,
Think of the manufactured home in Corvallis that I put up.
I was going to ask you about that, but I didn't want to take up all the time today. I feel like that's a great value too. And that might be a fun one for us. I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about that because I don't have any experience with manufactured homes and loans on manufactured homes. And so I know that you do know
Yeah.
more about that. So that one's intriguing to me as well. The one in the 55 and older park.
Yeah, that one's an easy flip.
Yeah,
That's the thing about it. It's just cosmetic. It's been really well maintained.
what do you
Both of,
think it could sell for?
huh?
What do you feel that one could sell for?
So what I'm seeing around here in Eugene, and I'm assuming it's the same in Corvallis, that homes in parks, double wides have been going for 130, and it just
Okay.
blows my mind that that's
Yeah,
what's
me too.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that is happening and you feel, and I mean, that park looks really clean. I did look that one
Yeah.
up and that area looks clean and like
what
nice.
year is it?
it's both of these that I have are interestingly enough 1973s.
Oh,
Yeah, so they're not FHA lendable.
You'd have to someone would have to have cash for it or
Cash or conventional, I think. Would a
Conventional.
conventional loan go for that, for those?
I don't think so. Tracy might. Tracy, have you ever helped buy or sell a pre-75 mobile home, manufactured home?
No, they can't be financed. They're cash
Yeah.
only.
Yeah, cash only. That's what I thought.
So well, I'll have to do more research on the ARV on that one.
okay.
That was a really good deal. He called on Friday, went and met him on Saturday and signed papers all at once.
And that one, you said it's in a park.
Yeah, it's in Meadow Park, Corvallis on Conifer Boulevard, 277 Conifer Boulevard.
And so it's got space rent.
Of really low, 540.
Hmm.
This is per the seller, and again, this is another probate. And I have yet to contact the management to confirm all this stuff. You know, and because a lot of times in parks, I'll ask the manager, what do you think it will sell for once it's fixed up? And they'll know pretty much.
And so you guys might already know this, but I'll just state the obvious. So when we have a manufactured home that's not attached to the real property, it's still personal property. And so even lenders like me can't touch it, unfortunately. I wish I could, but I can't.
Who can?
That's a great question. Some hard to find.
Maybe a real private money lender.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Mike could do it. Lien personal property.
There you go.
Yeah, as long as it's after 76, it should go conventional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I thought it was 1979. You're saying it's 75 and
Yeah,
a half.
76.
76.
Okay.
I think I said 75, but it's 76.
Well, I remember learning years ago, it was, well, let's say 75, but it was like July 1st of 1975 was when the law changed, you know, if it was built after that, because then it would have the exit on two different sides of the mobile home, manufactured home. Whereas prior to that, they were building them with an entrance and an exit on the same facing side of the home. And there's other things, I don't know what, but that's the visible thing I can see.
Well, does anybody have anything else that they like to discuss before we hop off here?
Yeah, I have a question for you. Let's
Right.
just say for giggles, we identify a duplex, doesn't really need a whole lot of work, but obviously being a cash buyer puts us in a better position. Can we use your funds to make the purchase and then wrap it up later and refinance it or something?
I see
That sounds
Mike,
familiar.
I see Mike perking up. We did that for Mike.
Exactly that.
Okay,
So Mike
Wow.
found a duplex at the end of his lot, or end of his block. Beautiful condition. They had a cash offer from, I believe, some Californians. Mike came in there to be competitive using hard money. And so we did a quick loan, helped him acquire the property. And then how quickly did you refi it? That took longer than you wanted.
Well, yeah, and here I will reveal the other side of the story. It's supposed to be like 60 days or less, and actually like maybe 45 days or something. Boom, right. And I was working with the person I had worked with on a couple other transactions. He's been over at OCCU for a while. He somehow disappeared, went off the grid or whatever. I get a notice or email one morning. Oh, X is no longer with OCCU. I said, well, and then I put together a pretty well-reasoned proposal suggesting, well, here's your basic parameters. And I know you can pull up metrics to know how, on average, how quickly your loans close. Here's what I was told. Here's where I'm at. Here's what it's costing me every month. And I don't know if I ever shared this with you, Zach, but they refunded to me 1 month of your interest. They wrote that off the loan.
Yeah, you told me that.
And I am here I will sing the praises of OCCU to everybody. I have literally over the last 10 years or 10 years ago, I had stuff at like 5 different financial institutions in town. And over time, I have consolidated everything with Oregon Community Credit Union, and I just sing their praises.
what was your cash to close on something like that?
Cash to the sale price?
On the
Yeah, did
purchase?
you have to put in any of your own cash when you refied?
Oh, when I yeah. Well, I like real nice cash flow. So the property was 530, 500. That's what we paid.
Mhm.
I pulled money from my stock portfolio and I used some money from my HELOC so that I literally drove it down 30%. And I financed just like 370,000. And with the rents, PITI, principal, interest, tax, and insurance, is $2,000 a month, and the rents bring in $3,500 a month. So right off the bat, I structured that in order that I bought $18,000 a year in income.
Nice.
And he held our loan for
That's awesome.
60 days or whatever it was.
No, 90. It was
90.
the
Yeah.
3 months.
3 months. And so that, I mean, he'll admit, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but like for him, given that specific situation, a duplex right at the end of his block, even though he was paying above list, he was in a highly competitive situation. It was just that opportunity, the opportunity cost, it outweighed, and including the cost of our financing outweighed,
Oh yeah.
trying to do something in a more conventional scenario.
In the midst of the market, I mean, to pay for a duplex just $5,000 over, and with all the competition out there and everything else, I mean, I even there's been stuff in the real estate news about love letters. I wrote a love letter to the owner talking about how I just live down the block and I'd like to have my daughter as a tenant near me and everything else. Well, she's my tenant on the west side in one of my properties, but it just, I told Dan and Ed, I said, I'm not going to get in a war on this, but I do really would like to see this. And it just worked. The universe delivered.
I have a couple of questions for you, Mike. Did you use a realtor to
Yeah,
buy it.
Dan Gandy.
Okay, and you still wrote a love letter. Okay, and then when you financed through Zach, was at that point you put the 30% down?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And the kind of loan that you got, so I have one more question. The kind of loan that you ended up getting, what kind of loan was FHA, conventional, what?
Conventional loan, 30-year, I want to say 3.5.
Yeah, I guess you couldn't get an FHA unless you were living in it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a flip this last year where the tenant bought me out, basically made me an offer, and because I was in the process of evicting her and him, and she went and found a realtor, found a mortgage broker and everything on, and made an offer, and I decided to take, even though it was low, but I really didn't want to flip this house. And because it was,
One we looked at
fascinating.
out in Glenwood.
Yeah, the one in Glenwood. Yeah, the one you can taste from across the street.
Mhm.
So she bought it, but then was held up because she was getting an FHA loan, and they did 90 days between sale, my purchase and her purchase, before they would allow that to go through. So it, rather than it being a 45-day hold, it ended up being a 90-day hold. So
Yeah.
but it was my own money that I used to buy it, so it wasn't that big of a deal. And she was paying rent during that time. Low rent, but rent. So it ended up being a good win for me. I bet we're out of time, huh?
Yep.
All right.
Please help.
One thing, just as far as like the seasoning period that you mentioned for flips.
Seasoning period, yeah.
Yeah. Mike was able to quickly refinance into a conventional loan because he was holding that property in his personal name. It's going to depend conventional lender to conventional lender, whether or not you can do that so quickly if you're doing it in the name of an LLC. Because they may or may not deem that LLC to be equivalent to you personally
Yep.
until the property's been seasoned in it for a while. So I actually, especially in FHA type situation, I had a borrower, he did this flip in an LLC, and then he decided, okay, I'm gonna live there. He had to hold it in the LLC for a year, even though it was a single member LLC, to be able to do an FHA refinance.
That's interesting.
So talk to a independent mortgage broker, or really, dive in with your rep at the credit union and make sure that you understand any possible seasoning requirements before you jump into something like that.
So then that brings up another question, and maybe something for you to educate me on, is what's best moving forward? Is it keeping things personal or creating a business entity and doing your transactions under that?
Well, disclaimer, I'm not an attorney, but I always recommend people do business through a business, and hold property through a business. It's called a limited liability company for a reason. And if you have a renter or a tenant in there, you want to limit your liability, so to speak. And once you start accumulating a portfolio, like lots of the investors that I work with that have large portfolios, they'll literally have 1, 2, maybe 3 properties in an LLC, and then they'll create a new one. And then they'll create a new one, and then they'll have an LLC that owns all the other LLCs. And they're totally insulated from, if a tenant fell and broke their neck and then sued the landlord, it's going to the LLC and it can't pass through to them personally. But in Mike's situation, unfortunately, if he had been sued and it was in his personal name, they could go after him. So, Mike, do you have plans to move it?
Well, yes, I do. Toward the end of the year, I was saying this is the year I'm gonna put everything into LLCs, get things organized, and that was kind of a little nudge in the back of my mind when Grace has all these different things, and so I've been doing my research, how you put together and structure. And I just heard you say, some of your investors, they have 2 or 3 or 4 properties in one. And then I've heard of other people, every property is a
Yeah.
separate LLC. And then until I do that, I had $1 million umbrella coverage on all my properties, and now I got a 2 million on all my properties. But nothing beats the LLC. But I was going to ask, like, it sounds like you really need to be done with your financing or refinancing before you go ahead and do an LLC. If you're happy with, if your rate, you got your permanent financing and everything's done, then put it in an LLC, correct?
I would check with the more conventional mortgage broker on that. It's really going to depend on the lender that you're going with and their potential overlays, whether the seasoning requirement is going to be an issue. So you might be able to do it in the name of an LLC and not run into any problems. I've just seen cases where they've been dealing with a lender where they made it an issue. And so I would just say, I don't know for sure, check with your lender.
Well, I do all my research first and always.
Yeah. For us, we love working with businesses because we're a business lender, and it's actually a lot, like, we deal with it fine. It's a lot easier for us and our borrowers. For them, it can give them some flexibility because from a regulatory perspective, we're not allowed to make consumer loans. I can't do a loan to somebody who's going to live in a property. It has to be for business purposes. If I were to lend to somebody who's an individual and they move into our property that we lent on, it's an event of default. If they do it with the stated purpose that they're going to keep it possibly to live in, it's a consumer loan and I can get in a bunch of trouble. But the second that they put it in an LLC and I do a loan to an LLC, automatically a business loan, and they can do whatever the heck they want with it.
Which is just the way you like it.
Yeah. And they can move into it if they change their plans. They can do whatever, because it's a business loan and it's an investment. So I don't have to follow truth in lending disclosures or all these nightmare things that state and federal laws require for consumer lending. So, but that's
Right.
lending stuff. And I'm over time.
This has been a really good session, I think. What do you guys think?
Helpful, so helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lot
Yeah,
of
really
stuff here. Right, now we are the smart ones. Woo. Well, thanks
Well,
everyone
thank you.
for being here. Thank you, Zach, for leading this meeting and being just so good at what you do. Thank you.
Zach, how
Thank
do
you,
we
guys.
reach you if we need to reach you? I can find you online, I'm sure, but I mean, do you have an easier way than me looking?
He's gonna put in chat.
Yeah, I'll
Okay,
put it
got
in the
it.
chat
Great,
here.
great, thanks.
I won't shut it down yet.
Thank you.
Sophie, what'd you think?
I think it's a steep learning curve.
Okay, it is. It is. Yeah,
We're here to help.
yes.
I heard that too.
Okay, everybody got the chat? Got the info?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Well, good to go. All right. Thank you for being here.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Have a good
Bye.
day.